So again, let's try to understand this, all these things together. So they died, he lives. What's really going on with Lag Bomer? It's a strange thing why we mourn for so long, and it's a strange thing why we celebrate for so long and so strong. So we have to go back very quickly. We don't have that much time, but we'll go back very quickly to that period of time. If we understand the historical context of that period of time, everything becomes clear. In the year 70 Common Era is when the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. Who destroyed the Beis HaMikdash? Titus, right? Titus destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. Vespasian was his father. That was the year of the four emperors. Vespasian became the emperor of Rome. He needed a great military victory. He sent his son, and his son destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. According to the writings of the Romans, the intention of the Romans was never to destroy the second Beis HaMikdash. It was a mistake. It was a flare that lit up in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and that's how everything caught fire and it burnt down. But that was never the intention of the Romans. In fact, I just want to tell you this something historically, that the Maharal says that it could be true that the intentions of the Romans were not to destroy the second temple, the second Beis HaMikdash, but me'atoiv yatsa toiv, from good comes good, and from negative comes negative. The fact that it was destroyed was intentional. Why am I telling you this? Because if you lived after the Beis HaMikdash, after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, if you lived through that period of time, this is a very, very troubling time in Jewish history, because we Jews lived in Eretz Yisrael for 1,000 years, over 1,000 years. We had a Beis HaMikdash. We had a central place that we worshiped, a place that if we needed something, we went. We had a Kohen Gadol. It was very clear that we were a localized people. There was a place that we served Hashem, and the practices were very simple. It was laid out. We bring offerings, and this is what we do. Now the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed. What's now? What do we do now? What's the next step in Jewish history? What are we supposed to be doing? A few years later, 50 years later, there was a fellow by the name of Bar Kochva, or Bar Kozva. That what Rabbi Akiva called him Bar Kochva. Bar Kochva, Rabbi Akiva said, Bar Kochva, this general, started a rebellion to throw out the Romans from Israel. The intention of Bar Kochva was to throw the Romans out of Israel and to build the Beis HaMikdash, to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. And Rabbi Akiva not only believed in this mission, Rabbi Akiva was the forerunner of this mission. Rabbi Akiva was the one that said that Bar Kochva is Mashiach. He called him the Bar Kochva, that a star will rise from Yaakov. Rabbi Akiva said, and Rabbi Akiva was then the most important Torah scholar, the most important Talmud Chacham in that generation. Rabbi Akiva said that this Bar Kochva, who eventually amassed a group of close to 250,000 soldiers, rebels, they had some minor military victories during the year 134, 133 period Common Era. Rabbi Akiva said this person is going to be Mashiach. So what is Rabbi Akiva, what's the anticipation? What is Rabbi Akiva hoping for? Rabbi Akiva was hoping that he throws the Romans out, they build the Beis HaMikdash, but not just the Beis HaMikdash, the temple, just like the second Beis HaMikdash, but to actually usher in the time of Mashiach. Right? World peace and the King of Israel. And Rabbi Akiva, this is the way Rabbi Akiva's thinking. So he has 24,000 Talmidim. We can imagine. It's interesting that Rabbi Shrei Goyen, one of the Goyenim, write that the Gemara is very cryptic about how the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva died. It says they died. We know why they died. They died because they didn't have derech eretz, right? They didn't have respect for each other. But how they died, so it says misasa ba'askara, maybe they choked. It could be hunger. And Rav Shlomo actually says it was probably religious persecution. Now, whether the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva were actually physically soldiers of Bar Kochva, or, which incidentally, Bar Kochva also dies from the same mysterious death. He also dies by Askara, and whether they were physically soldiers or they were the spiritual soldiers. Rabbi Akiva is creating, in his idea, Rabbi Akiva is creating a Mashiach time, a Mashiach reality. He's training his Talmidim, probably teaching them karbanos, teaching them how to sacrifice, how to bring karbanos, right? They're going to be the new generation of Mashiach. So, when the Talmidei of Rabbi Akiva pass away, it's not just that they died. Sadly, there's a lot of historical stories. Judaism as we knew it passed away. And not only that, the dream that Mashiach was imminent died. That Mashiach was right here because there was a person, a living, walking person, that we said this person is Mashiach, and he was starting to build the Beis HaMikdash. According to some opinions, historical opinions, Bar Kochba actually started building the Beis HaMikdash, the third Beis HaMikdash. So this was a very high time. And then Rabbi Akiva's students died, and then Rabbi Akiva is killed himself, right, in the year 135 Common Era. It's the end of a period. So the reason why we mourn the death of the students of Rabbi Akiva is not just we're mourning the death of particular people that passed away, it's the death of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism, the way it existed in the times of the Beis HaMikdash. Why do we contrast that and celebrate Lag Bomer? Because Rashbi gave us a path and a way to conquer and to overcome exile. Rabbi Akiva felt that we have to bring Mashiach and actually build a Beis HaMikdash and do it. Now that it didn't happen, what did Rashbi come? Rashbi was the revealer of the Zohar. And what does it say in the beginning of the Zohar? With this book, the people will be redeemed with Rachmanas, with compassion. So the Sefer HaZohar, the Pnimis HaTorah, the inner essence of the Torah, is what sustains us through exile. Because if outwardly we can't do the certain practices, because we can bring karbanis now, we can bring offerings, but inwardly we can bring offerings. We can bring ourselves closer to Hashem. That's an inward teaching of the Torah. The inward teachings of the Torah allow us to survive in exile, and the inward pnimis HaTorah, the inward teachings of the Torah, allow us to get out of exile eventually. And that's why we're celebrating the passing of Rashbi. The passing of Rashbi is that era of Rabbi Akiva and his students ended, but Rashbi, the gift that Rashbi gave to us, or Rishim Bar Yochai gave to us, is the Pnimis HaTorah, is the internal aspect of the Torah. And that's why we say that on Lag BaOmer is just like there's a revealing of the Torah on Shavuos, on the Nigla, on the revealed aspects of the Torah. There's Matan Torah of Nigla, of the revealed. The same thing on Lag BaOmer, we celebrate the revealing of Pnimis HaTorah. There's a Matan Torah of Pnimis HaTorah. And that occurs 17 days before the revealing of the Torah of the Nigla Torah, where it occurs on Shavuos. And that's what we're celebrating at Lag BaOmer. And that's why Lag BaOmer, there's a lot of ideas that we can connect with this. Lag BaOmer, the word Lag BaOmer has the same numeric value of the word Maisha, 345. Lag BaOmer, according to the Arizal, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai is a Gilgul of Moshe Rabbeinu. Lag BaOmer, the day of Lag BaOmer always falls on the fourth day of Sukkot, which is the Ushpiz of Moshe, which is the guest of Moshe Rabbeinu. There's a lot of correlations of that idea because we're saying that in Lag BaOmer, Moshe Rabbeinu revealed the Nigla of Torah, the revealed aspect of Torah. Rabbi Shimon was the one that was given the gift to reveal the inner essence of the Torah. And the inner essence of the Torah is what allows us to survive in exile and eventually overcome our exile. And that's the deeper reason why we celebrate, and that's why it's the greatest celebration of Lag BaOmer.